By 2019, media pressure had reached a level that the system could no longer absorb quietly. Investigative reporting resurfaced old evidence, reconnected victim testimonies, and exposed the 2008 non prosecution deal to public scrutiny. What had previously been fragmented information was now presented as a coherent failure of justice. This shifted the story from rumor to institutional breakdown. The key change was repetition and coordination across outlets. Multiple media organizations began reporting the same facts simultaneously, making dismissal difficult. Epstein was no longer a background scandal. He became a headline risk. Public attention forced law enforcement to act in a way it had been avoided for years. Media exposure also narrowed the stage of acceptable inaction. Once details of lenient sentencing, sealed names, and victim exclusion became widely known, silence from authorities started to look like complicity. Prosecutors and politicians faced reputational damage simply by doing nothing. Pressure was no longer moral, it was operational. This attention disrupted the protection mechanism around Epstein. Quiet settlements, sealed records, and procedural delays stopped working. Once the public's narrative hardened, the system's priorities shifted from long term containment to short term damage control. Decisions were now made under visibility rather than secrecy. Epstein's arrest in 2019 was not the result of new crimes, but renewed attention to old ones. Media pressure reopened doors that had been intentionally closed. Once that happened, the system moved from passive protection to panic management. This is what media pressure does in powerful networks. It doesn't prove guilt by itself, but it removes the option of silence. When silence collapses, systems are forced to react. After Epstein's arrest in 2019, authorities moved quickly to seize physical and digital evidence from his properties. This included computers, hard drives, storage devices, documents, photographs, and surveillance related material. The scale of the seizure indicated concern about evidence destructions or removal. Timing mattered because delay could mean loss. The seizure focused on materials that could establish networks, not just individual crimes. Investigators were looking for record of travel, communications, contact, and documentation of activity across multiple locations. This suggested the case was no longer being treated as isolated abuse, but as an organized operation. Evidence collection shifted from narrow to systematic. Control of evidence also became a power issue. Whoever possessed the material controlled what could be proven, delayed, or buried. Rapid seizure limited the ability of intermediaries to manage exposure. This is why evidence handling became urgent once media pressure peaked. The presence of extensive documentation raised concerns about leverage and compromise. Even without public disclosure, investigators had to assume sensitive material existed. That assumption alone increased institutional anxiety. Evidence did not need to be released to destabilize the system. Its existence was enough. Seizures also marked a break from past restraint. Earlier investigations avoided deep searches and broad collection. In 2019, that restraint disappeared. The system shifted from protection to containment under scrutiny. Evidence seizure was not about immediate justice. Evidence seizure was not about immediate justice. It was about control of information, of narratives, and of future risk. Once evidence moved into state custody, the balance of power changed. Epstein's arrest triggered immediate disruption across legal, political, and social networks connected to him. Individuals and institutions that had previously remained silent began distancing themselves publicly. Lawyers issued statements, associations were denied, and past connections were minimized. The priority shifted from quiet tolerance to visible separation. Legal fallout followed quickly. Civil lawsuits increased as victims saw a renewed chance for accountability. Prosecutors faced pressure to broaden investigations rather than repeat past containment. Institutions that had previously avoided scrutiny were now forced to respond to questions they had ignored for years. Some names were scrutinized heavily, while others avoided attention due to lack of documentation or sealed records. Media coverage created asymmetry, associations alone became damaging, even without charges. This caused defensive behavior across elite circles. Inside the system, coordination broke down. Once Epstein was in custody, he could no longer manage relationships, enforce silence, or stabilize expectations. Uncertainty replaced control. When a central operator is removed, network lose coherence quickly. The arrest also exposed institutional vulnerability. Agencies and officials involved in earlier decisions faced renewed criticism. Past choices were interpreted under public pressure, not legal secrecy. This created incentive for damage limitation rather than full disclosure. The fallout made one thing clear: Epstein's protection depended on invisibility. Once arrested under media scrutiny, the system could no longer function quietly. What followed was not resolution but fragmentation.